We did get some definitely really big stuff from Nintendo just today. This was from the Nintendo president, Shuntaro Furukawa, during a presentation. This was about the Nintendo movies. Now, obviously, if you didn't know, Nintendo movies are really popping off. You had the Super Mario movie that was actually 2 years ago now. That was 2023. And now you have the Super Mario Galaxy movie that's coming out next year and the Zelda movie coming out 2027. Those are definitely making waves right now. Those are a very big deal, and a lot of people are wondering, what is Nintendo going to do regarding their movies going forward? How long is this going to be going on? Are they just going to stop after the Zelda movie in 2 years? Well, no, they are not planning that, not by a long shot, and most people probably shouldn't be too surprised to hear that, but Nintendo actually does have a plan for the long run. They want a consistent movie schedule, a consistent movie release with their Nintendo IPs, and they want to be very heavily involved in the process. They don't want to just hand it off to some other studio just to make their movies. So this is all coming from a presentation today, Wednesday, November 5th, from the Nintendo president, as I said. This is mainly a presentation for investors, but it is actually publicly available online. It's one of those quarterly reports that a lot of studios will do from time to time, kind of talking about how they've been doing, what their plan is going forward, and there was a lot in this. Now, specifically, I'm going to be talking about the movies, because that, to me, is really what stood out. So right here, they start talking about the movies, and I have linked the whole thing in the description. When we go to the next slide here, they talk about reflecting on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. They talk about how huge it was, how influential it was. I think this is kind of a no-brainer. Now they talk about movie and video content development structure. So they say, rather than simply licensing the IP, Nintendo takes part in financing and is deeply involved in production. A lot of people are going to be happy to hear that. They want to give these movies the same touch, the same care as their games. So Shigeru Miyamoto is actually the co-producer of the 2 announced movies. That's a very good sign, and they talk about some of their subsidiaries for these movies, for their IPs, Nintendo Pictures and Nintendo Stars. And we got a lot of details here on specifically their current approach to making their movies. It says, currently we are actively taking part in financing and we are deeply involved in the production of multiple movies, from planning and development through to production. The second to the bottom bullet point there, they actually talk about on October 7th, this was like a month ago, Nintendo Pictures released its first short video called Close to You, based on the world of Pikmin. That really stuck out to me. I did not hear anything about this. I find it interesting they use the term movie and video a lot. Like they'll say our movies and videos, and it's not really clear what they mean by that. It could be kind of a translation thing, but they might be looking at, I don't know, some sort of like shorter form content as well, not just long movies, but maybe that's just kind of a side note. Now we see right here, building a framework for a consistent release cadence. You got the Mario movie that came out 2 years ago, and then you got the next 2 movies over the next 2 years, and then, yeah, what is to come after that? We still don't know. I'm sure Nintendo knows, but we don't. This, by the way, is exactly from their presentation, and, well, it's very clear that they are really wanting to tease, what's gonna come next. They talk about this, and they say, we are continuing to prepare for the ongoing release of movies in the future. And it looks like from people that were there, that were reporting on the actual presentation itself by the Nintendo president, he was really given the feel as well that, yeah, they are really focused on their movies going forward. So it's not just the slideshow that's saying it. But I find it interesting they use the word consistent release cadence. They really want to be consistent now with their movies. The 2023 Super Mario movie, that was a big hit. Now they got one coming out 3 years after that in 26, and then 1 year after that in 2027. I think now they're really going to be consistent. There might be probably one now planned for 28, then 29, and who knows, maybe in a little bit it'd be like, more than one movie a year. We might get to a point where we've got the next MCU here, maybe the Nintendo Cinematic Universe is fast approaching. That would be the coolest thing ever. I've talked about that before, and I think that is just still so awesome. And, well, I think that the chances of that happening have never been greater, now that Nintendo has revealed they really do want to be consistent about their movie schedule.